Next tonight, after days of protests and arrests at its works in North Yorkshire, the gas company Third Energy said today it will begin fracking there by Christmas.
The firm says the process is safe, but environmental campaigners who claim otherwise have vowed to continue trying to block drilling at the Kirby Misperton site.
Today, the firm invited our cameras into the controversial plant to see how work there is progressing. Our reporter Greg Easthill spent the day there.
Well, over the last 2 weeks or so, these gates have seen all manner of protests, human blockades, arrests, police cordons aimed at trying to get works lorries safely past the protesters and onto site. And if you look to my left here, you can still, even at this time of day, there's still a line of tents of protesters digging in, camping out at the gates here. Until now, though, we've never seen what's going on behind those barriers. Today, all of that changed.
The final few footsteps towards a site not seen publicly until now. And this is it. A squared off space with men putting up scaffolding to hold soundproofing. Along one side, 2 miles of pipework has already arrived. And the man in charge says despite the trouble at the door, everything's on track and the test frack will start soon.
If you have a look at the early planning we did from a long way back, we are very much on schedule for completing all parts before the end of the year.
So there'll be fracking here by Christmas?
Oh, definitely, without a doubt.
And this is the small spot at the centre of all that controversy, the wellhead itself, which will go 10,000 feet down in the hope of striking gas. But at what cost? I put some concerns to the site's technical expert. Scotland's just announced an indefinite ban on fracking. Wales has already banned it. New York State's health commissioner did a 6-month study and concluded he wouldn't let his own family anywhere near where fracking was going on.
Yeah.
Are you sure about this?
Absolutely.
And why?
Well, you know, there's more than 1.5 million fracks have been done in the US over the last 30 years, and there's been a technology to support that developing. So the actual technology is proven, and if you look at the data, and we have looked very closely at the data, there are no incidents where fracking has really had any impact on the water table, which I think is one of the main concerns that people have. 50% of the gas that we're using in the UK at the moment comes from overseas, and that's forecast to go up to 80% over the next 17 years. We've got gas under our feet, and why wouldn't we use it?
Afterwards, we showed what we'd seen to some of the protesters at the gates.
We've been keeping an eye on it from the back anyway. We can see in
So you're not surprised at the way it looks?
No, not really.
There are people who would argue, though, that it's a lot less intrusive than a nuclear power station, a wind turbine. And what's wrong with it? What do you think's wrong?
Well, what's wrong with it is the damage it does to the environment. It's not what it looks like, is it? It's what it does once it's in operation.
And they're saying they'll be fracking by Christmas.
They can say what they like. We'll do our best to make sure that's not true.
And as that pressure builds, we still don't know if this well will actually yield any gas once it starts working. There is still one potential hurdle that Third Energy have to leap before they can start those test fracks here, and that's final sign-off from the government. Although listening to the way the company's talking today, they seem to regard that as a formality. You might think once the test fracking starts, maybe that'll settle the argument once and for all. But looking at the experience in America, where fracking's been happening for years and the protests still go on, it doesn't seem likely that the talking and the protesting will stop here at that point either. Everybody, in some cases literally here, are still digging in, and we'll have to see what happens next.